My usually cold husband was sharing a bowl of soup with a new secretary. This time I didn't make a scene. My heart was eerily calm, numb, as I asked for a divorce. His face twisted in contempt. Stop the drama, I'm exhausted. She's just a coworker. Even a wife can't police how I interact with colleagues. If that's what you want to believe, I can't help you. When I actually slapped the divorce papers on the table, he turned purple with rage. Skylar, you think the Vance family is what it used to be? Without me, you're nothing. At dinner, Jason dodged the third bite I offered him. My enthusiasm shriveled like it had been doused with ice water, my stomach souring. In 2 years of marriage, he had never eaten from my chopsticks. Even our cutlery lived separate lives. He glanced up at me, drifting. What did you just say? I clenched my fists and forced myself to meet his eyes. I said we should divorce. His smile vanished, replaced by disgust. Quit it. You know how tired I am after work. Morgan's only a colleague. I flung my bowl down in fury. Just a colleague? Jason, since when do colleagues sip from the same bowl? Did we run out of bowls or soup? He stood and glared. Don't be unreasonable, Skylar. Even husbands and wives aren't allowed to micromanage each other's office relationships. Don't think I can't tell. You've regretted marrying me for ages. All this impatience is just your excuse to leave. Is the Vance empire even still standing? Ha, hilarious. Let me make this clear, Skylar. I won't give you what you want. If I hadn't seen it myself tonight, I wouldn't have believed it. The man sharing Morgan's bowl was actually him. Earlier, their company had held its team-building picnic. He'd never before invited me, but a couple of my friends inside the firm talked me into coming. That was how I caught the scene. Morgan ladled herself a bowl of soup, drank half, then Jason casually lifted it to his lips, sporting a smug grin. Morgan reminded him it was her bowl. Jason looked perfectly entitled. Yeah, I know. Morgan flushed scarlet at his side. At that instant, my shock matched everyone else's. So Jason could share utensils and soup with someone, just never with me. He cracked jokes with others. The punchline just never landed on me. After 2 years of marriage, I meant less to him than a brand new hire. I said it again, steady. Jason, I want a divorce. He still wrote me off as hysterical, pushing back his chair. Cool off. It's not a big deal. We'll talk when you're sane again. Oh, and Mom wants that favor done. Handle it fast before she rides my back about it. After he left, the apartment was tomb silent. His family had been on the verge of bankruptcy back then. They needed someone to fill the black hole, and that was when he remembered the girl who'd chased him for years. He'd proposed with the arrogance of a crown prince. Fine, I'll marry you. What I hadn't expected was that 2 years of cautious devotion would only embolden him and his entire clan. Close to dawn, Morgan sent me a video. Jason was in the center of a laughing circle, partying hard. No trace remained of the man who'd just fought with me. Back when I'd wanted to introduce him to my own friends, he'd refused outright. I'd thought he was emotionally distant, maybe socially anxious. Now I understood. He simply had zero interest in my world. He never meant to step into my life. 2 years in, we were nothing more than roommates sharing a roof. Jason drew the dare card, kissed the woman to his left for a full minute. The girl on his left was Morgan. He didn't hesitate for a second. I slammed my phone shut, stomach churning, tears streaming. Jason wasn't emotionally vacant. He just felt nothing for me. He didn't come home all night. At dawn, his mother barged in. She pointed at me the moment she crossed the threshold. Where's Jason? Why isn't he answering his phone? Can't you do a single thing right? You don't work, you live off my son, you spend his money. I'd endured long enough. Now, I didn't have to. I set my glass down with a loud smack. Need a favor? Bring cash. Filing paperwork plus greasing palms. Wire me $10 million first. You yourself claim your son keeps me, so of course I'm broke. She gritted her teeth. You can't scrape together a measly sum? If you won't help, say so. We shouldn't have allied with your family. The Vance fortune is practically gone. Since you know your younger son is a screw-up, lock him at home instead of loosing him on the world. I've cleaned up after him for years. 20-something going on too. She sprang up, hands on hips, face blotched with rage. I fired back. Letting you through the door was charity. Your son and I are divorcing. Leave now or security will escort you out. She looked stunned. I'd always kowtowed because they were Jason's blood. Not anymore. I speed-dialed building security. They saw her out. At the start, after I patched the Sun Group's balance sheet, they treated me with courtesy. Once the crisis passed, their mask slipped. They decided I wasn't good enough for Jason. Marrying him, they insisted, had been my jackpot. And the less they needed me, the less they could stand me. Within 5 minutes, Jason rang. He ripped into me without preamble. Skylar, can you quit creating headaches? I'm swamped. Whatever Mom wants, just do it. I gave a cold laugh. Swamped at Morgan's place, you mean? Silence on the line, then the click of him hanging up. The dial tone droned, and I felt freshly ridiculous. Imagine, his mother had actually stormed my apartment. Mom called minutes later. Have you and Jason been fighting? Couples quarrel, normal. Don't keep throwing divorce around. Words wound. My heart cramped. I'd poured fortunes into rescuing Jason's company, and focusing on him had let my own firm drift. It was the company my parents had slaved an entire lifetime to leave me. I sniffed. Mom, I really want the divorce. There was a moment of silence on the other end, then my father's voice replaced hers. Skylar, if you've finally seen the light, great. The Vance family doesn't grovel for humiliation. Dad deliberately raised his volume. In the background, I could hear Jason's mother shrieking like a banshee. The line went dead. I grabbed my keys and raced home. Fiona is a raging maniac. My parents wouldn't stand a chance. By the time I arrived, she had already left. Mom and Dad were sitting on the couch, chatting. The instant they saw me, they jumped up and hurried over. Dad frowned. Why didn't you bring your suitcase back? Mom rolled her eyes at him. Sweetheart, don't worry. Fiona won't get away with throwing her weight around our house. Your mother has been gentle her whole life, but she went toe-to-toe with that woman just now and held nothing back. I burst out laughing. Halfway through, my eyes stung. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad. They're getting old, and I've still dragged them into this mess. I went straight to the office and terminated the lucrative contract with Sun Group. It had basically been free money for Jason. He accepted it like it was his birthright. That night, he came home early for once, something he never does. The moment he walked in, he barked. Why did you kill the deal? Because Morgan and I shared one bowl of soup? Throwing a tantrum has limits, Skylar. You're way over the line. Even now, he thinks I'm just being dramatic. I placed the divorce papers in front of him. Only then did he flush with rage. You're serious, Skylar? You want a divorce over such a petty thing? I leaned back on the sofa and closed my eyes. Yes, over this petty thing. Morgan and I are just co-workers. Nothing happened. Right, nothing, just close enough to sip from the same spoon. The sneer in his eyes deepened. We were drunk. I didn't even make the first move. What are you so jealous about? Listening to his excuses, I felt nothing but calm. There's nothing left to say. Divorce. When he realized reasoning was useless, he lost it, rattling off every grievance he could think of. Fine, Skylar. Don't come crawling back later. You're not even worth one of Morgan's fingernails. I took the papers he'd signed. City Hall, Monday at 9. Don't be late. And start packing. This house goes on the market. The next day, Fiona stormed my office. You ungrateful leech. Jason married you for 2 years, let you sleep in his bed for free, and now you want out? Found yourself a toy boy, huh? You think the Vance family is what it used to be? The Sun family will make sure you walk away with nothing. I had my assistant film the entire tirade. To the outside world, Mrs. Sun is a frail, kind-hearted socialite. Her language was filthy, but in the end she never even got to see my face. That night, I rounded up some long-lost friends for drinks. They'd all heard about my recent moves. Rocky cocked a brow. Skylar, are you serious? I downed a shot. Dead serious. Divorced. Everyone exhaled at once. The atmosphere loosened instantly. Honestly, Skylar, you were brain dead for 2 years. Half of us tried warning you. You insisted on jumping into that sewer. I saw Jason with another little side piece 2 days ago. All over each other. I glanced up. He zipped his mouth shut. Rocky threw an arm around my shoulder. Enough, Skylar. Tonight we unplug. New bar. We headed to our old haunt. The moment we slid into the usual booth, Emery blurted, "Holy crap, are you kidding me?" I followed his stare. Jason, face flushed, lay sprawled across Morgan's lap, eyes closed. When I stood, the rest of the crew followed. Jason was half drunk, mumbling every complaint he had about me. "Morgan, you're the only one who gets me. Skylar's nothing. She wants a divorce, let her. Without me, she's toast. She's cold, always nagging. Do you know how crazy my schedule is?" Morgan stroked his hair. "Jason, divorce her and be with me. I'll never throw pointless tantrums." I grabbed a bottle and emptied it over his head. Both of them shrieked and jumped up, but when Jason saw me, his face twisted into disgust. "Skylar, here to beg me back? Didn't you want a divorce?" A smug grin spread across his soaked face. "Let me make this clear. Forget reconciliation unless you return that lucrative contract." Looking at him playing hard to get while living off my money, I laughed at myself. How did I ever fall for this guy? "Jason, be at City Hall on Monday on time. Or else the clip of you and Morgan, Fiona's little performance, and every Dirty Son family secret hits the trending tabloid blast by noon." He sobered instantly, staring at me in horror. "You set me up. What videos did you take, Skylar? You had me followed?" I knew this divorce nonsense was blackmail. "Keep pushing, and I really will sign those papers. Just give the project back, and maybe I'll..." I left him there dribbling booze and self-pity and went back to drink with my friends. Because of my contract termination, the Sun Group elders piled pressure on him. He's been coddled so long he thinks entitlements are gravity. They lectured him nonstop. "No matter how wild things get, you don't divorce Skylar." But Jason was too proud, stung by the humiliation I'd dealt him. He swore Sun Group would thrive without me, and stayed away from City Hall, dodging every attempt to serve him papers. Even Edward, who normally hides behind newspaper headlines, came looking for me. His younger son's latest scandal was too big to ignore. In the past, I'd always cleaned up Wade's messes. This time, Edward had to handle it himself. His hair had gone white, and Wade was still sitting in a cell. I've never had a high opinion of Jason's father. Weak, useless, yet forever looking down his nose at everyone. He strode in, head tilted. "Skylar, what's this nonsense with Jason? A man has to network, follow protocol. Divorce affects both families' interests. Marriage isn't only about the two of you. If you dislike Jason, fine. No need for this scorched earth. He's just a placeholder. Once his brother matures, Wade takes over, and Jason's out of the picture. Don't ruin everything over one man." I poured him a cup of tea, disgusted by every word. On the surface, Edward sang Jason's praises, but in his heart he'd already willed every last asset to his younger son. After all, Jason was only adopted. Whether the eldest's marriage thrived or crashed didn't matter. Divorce was fine, so long as the partnership never ended. "You're right. Divorce mustn't hurt either family's interests," I said. But since pulling out of the deal cost us nothing, it looks like the marriage itself was irrelevant to us. His brows shot up in fury, a shout gathering in his throat. I flicked open my phone and hit play. First came Fiona, claws out and shrieking, then Jason and Morgan tangled in flagrante. When Edward looked up again, sweat streamed down his temples. He hurled his water glass aside, face black with rage. "What do you want?" "Divorce." "I just want the divorce." That afternoon, Edward marched Jason to City Hall and forced him to sign the papers. Jason's lip curled. "Skylar, don't come crawling back. Once we're done, we are never, ever remarrying." I drew the longest breath of my life, pure oxygen after years of smog. It was finally over. "Sure. I won't beg." He still thought I'd orbit him the way I used to, circling, coaxing, apologizing. When I turned away, he stayed planted on the marble like a forgotten statue. Killing the partnership had been step one. Every dollar I'd once funneled into the Sun Vault would now be clawed back, interest included. I dropped the single sentence among my friends: "I'm divorced." They understood instantly. Out of respect for me, they'd coddled Jason, greased his deals, overlooked his sloppiness. That courtesy had convinced him he was a genius who could solo the world. In reality, I'd spent nights sweeping up his messes. Those free passes were finished. I assumed weeks of frantic damage control would keep Jason out of my sight. The Sun Group was ricocheting from one closed door to the next. Yet, he kept materializing in front of me like bad déjà vu. Dinner in Soho, he and Morgan at the next table, fingers interlaced now that the ring was off. Jason lifted a bite of sea bass with his own chopsticks and fed her. Morgan, good, right? Morgan flicked me a glance. Everything Jason touches tastes perfect. Can't believe anyone would be stupid enough to walk away. Exactly, only you get it. Some people never know when they're sitting on a gold mine. Watch. She'll come wagging her tail any day now. I signaled the waiter and had every plate packed to go. The view alone killed my appetite. Morgan dashed out and blocked my path. President Vance isn't planning to steal my man, is she? All sugary pretense had melted. Only the brat remained. Little one actress, thinking she's the main course. I offered free, friendly advice. Pick a better sponsor, sweetheart. Trade up while you still can. Jason's clock is ticking fast. She mistook it for jealousy. I don't buy your scare stories, President Vance. Remember what you said today. Off she flounced, cheeks puffed. Jason's third appearance in my calendar was the final straw. I doubled the pressure. Sun Group stocks wheezed, creditors circled, headlines sharpened. Only then did he realize I wasn't posturing. Next up, the juiciest government tech contract Riverdale had seen in years. On paper, Sun Corp was perfect, cheapest bid, slickest deck, prior experience. Across the boardroom, I watched Jason recline, lie uncertain. Inside, I was laughing so hard it hurt. The moderator read the winner's name, and Jason's face collapsed like a souffle yanked from the oven. He believed his campaign was airtight. His biggest leak was me. If I didn't open the sluice, nothing flowed. Cameras caught Jason's green-tinged scowl. 20 minutes later, it was a trending tabloid blast. Hashtag Vance Sunsplit. Hashtag Jason lost bid turns pea green. Hashtag Vance stops it mode. Gossip sleuths stitched our marriage saga to the corporate upset overnight. A dynastic divorce is front-page gold. Sun PR fired off an emergency statement. Still married, still blissful. I opened the verified account I hadn't touched since our wedding and typed, "Thanks for the concern, divorce finalized. Reasons private. Conscience clear." Netizens exploded. Sun's denial deserves an Oscar. Skylar just buried it. Comments roasted the Sun Group. I logged out satisfied. That account held 2 posts total, the marriage certificate and the divorce certificate. I'd created it to chronicle marital bliss, then discovered there was nothing happy to record. I deleted the wedding post. My old self had been terminally love-drunk. Armchair detectives exhumed 2 years of couple history and reached a verdict. Skylar was ultimate doormat, licked the floor, and still got 0. The tide surged against Jason. Photos surfaced, him draped around different women at clubs, yachts, premieres. The hilarious part? Not one shot showed him that cozy with me. Of course. Outside bed, he'd never strolled a sidewalk holding my hand. Jason blew up my phone, demanding a retraction. I picked up. What exactly shall I clarify, Jason? That you never cheated with Morgan? Or that we're not divorced? He was already drowning. My jab snapped the last rope. Skylar, we were married 2 freaking years. 1 paragraph from you, and this dies.
Do you know what?
I know nothing, care less. Don't call again, Mr. Thompson. They'd bet the firm on that bid. Losing it painted a neon target on Jason's back. While vultures pecked, he rushed to prove himself and stomped straight into every pit I'd camouflaged. Months of studying his tells meant anticipating his moves took less effort than drafting a spreadsheet. Our paths crossed again at a Riverdale power dinner. He wore a silk shirt unbuttoned to scandal, pouring drinks for investors beside a flushed Regina. In the old days, I'd never let him suffer such humiliation. My events were strictly business. Looked like cash flow was bleeding and he needed either a loan or another sugar mommy. I almost felt sorry, till I remembered no one would ever be that stupid for him again. Sure enough, a tremor slipped his wrist and red wine cascaded across Regina's décolleté. Regina swung her hand and slapped him across the face. He glared at her, but swallowed the insult whole. The moment demanded it. Yet when he spun around and saw me, the shame hit so hard he dropped his gaze and never turned back. The power dinner ended. I stepped outside and found Jason leaning against my car. Reality had plucked every arrogant feather from him. He looked ridiculous now. Even the tone of his voice had softened. "Skylar, what's your game? We're divorced, so why keep twisting the knife?" I gave a cold laugh. "Sounds like I'm the one doing the twisting." "Don't accuse me. Regina's still waiting for you." I tossed in a fake show of concern. "Where's your little secretary, Morgan? Not here to pour your drinks?" "Pity, someone should have taken those shots for you." He clamped his jaw so tight no more words came out. I snickered and brushed past him. If he still had that much bite, he hadn't been ground down far enough. Then Wade, Jason's kid brother, stepped out. The Sun family had clearly thrown around a lot of bail money. Springing a liability like Wade at a time like this? With their fortune shrinking, they couldn't fund his habits anymore. So he came to me. He only ever smiled when he needed cash. "Sis, spot me some spending money." My brother's stingy. He tosses me pocket change, $1,000 or $2. I folded my hands under my chin and studied him. "Your brother and I are divorced. You've got a new sister-in-law. Go ask her." I handed him Morgan's business card. I added, almost as an afterthought, "Funny, Jason showers her with condos and cars, yet he only gives you crumbs. Doesn't treat you like real family, does he?" Wade exploded. "He bought that little house and a car? A two-bit tramp acting like royalty. I'll get every penny back." I watched him storm off, smiling. Within the hour, my assistant messaged me. "Wade's back behind bars for assault. This time he hit someone he shouldn't have. He'll be sitting for a long while." He really did go after Morgan. The second Morgan realized Jason was a dead end, she lined up her next mark. I'd underestimated her. She'd already hooked Bishop, the titan from Hong. With his connections, Bishop won't let anyone bruise his toy without payback. Once the Suns figured out I'd baited Wade, panic set in. Fiona dropped every shred of dignity and charged into my office screaming. I simply called the cops. Now mother and younger son share a reunion behind bars. The family name is shredded. Jason can't be bothered to bail them. At that moment, Edward, the Sun patriarch, vanished. When wife and kids hit rock bottom, he sprinted for the exit. I sent investigators. Turns out Edwards kept another woman for years. Apparently deciding Wade was a lost cause, he fathered a new heir, 8 years old this year. He siphoned off what cash he could and ran, dumping the mess on Jason. The Sun Group is wobbling on its last leg. Jason never came straight to me. Instead, he camps outside my friends' offices every day, begging anyone who'll listen for a lifeline. Every one of those contacts is someone I once introduced him to. Emery didn't want the headache, but after one lunch with me, he offered Jason a shot. Make or break, this is it. If Jason lands Emery's lucrative contract, the company might claw its way back. Ever since he sniffed a comeback, his arrogance reinflated. When we clash now, it's the same stubborn Jason of old. The firm is rotten to the core, yet he keeps the facade polished. "Skylar, the Sun Group doesn't need you. Get over yourself." I smiled and lowered my voice. "How are Fiona and Wade?" "Haven't seen them around." Her composure cracked for a second, then slid back into place. "Skylar, spare me the concern. We were husband and wife once. Didn't expect you could be this cruel." I chuckled and walked away. This is nothing compared to the cruelty he once served me. Today's boardroom shootout includes Bishop's company. He sits beside me, Morgan on his arm. She's transformed, docile now, face still mottled with bruises. Wade definitely swung hard. The marks linger. Bishop strokes her hair like he's gentling a cat. Seeing her meek amuses me. So different from when she snarled at me. For money, she'll play any role. Bishop glances over. "President Vance, this matter's distasteful. Your man beat mine, and you offer no compensation?" I give a light laugh. "President Bishop, joke's on you. You built your fortune in Hong, and now cross the ocean for scraps. None of us local houses complained. Besides, we all know which table the trophy slides to tonight." Don't let an inconsequential girl spoil the peace. The winning bid will go to a small firm, but that firm has already divvied up the spoils with the rest of us. If Bishop wants the lion's share, he is to bleed a little. He's here only to protest, bruised ego on display. Face is something an outsider earns. I've been in this game long enough to decide when to hand it out. Bishop turns back, smile intact, fingers tightening. Morgan whimpers. It hurts. He leans down, still smiling. Hurt. Then endure it. Since we're just here for the show, I keep my eyes on Jason. Regina must have wired him money. He perches obediently at her side. But Regina's too wily to lift a finger without profit. She already knows the outcome and simply enjoys watching him sweat for nothing. Years ago, Regina and the sons had a dust-up. Jason remains blissfully unaware. The cruelest cut came from Edward, leaving his eldest alone among wolves. The bidding opens. Jason shoots me a confident glare. Then he spots Morgan curled against Bishop and stabs her with a look. Morgan shrinks even lower. Bishop flicks her earlobe between his fingers. What are you afraid of? You were the one who brought me his company's files. You belong to me. Don't cower at him. I watch and think, men like Bishop are the truly terrifying ones. When he's in love, no one is allowed to touch a hair on your head. When the love is gone, nobody knows what the fallout will look like. Besides, someone like Morgan, ready to sell out the pillow she sleeps on, how long could Bishop keep her around? Sooner or later she'd trade him too. I watched the other teams finish their pitches one by one. Jason's face kept losing color. The investor beside him quietly slid the proposal he'd placed in front of him back across the table. When the final decision was announced, sure enough, the tiny outfit won the lucrative contract. Jason snapped. He jumped up and flung his wine straight into Regina's face. You knew I wouldn't win today. Why set me up? He spun toward Rocky, then at me. You planned this? All of you. Just sat there watching me walk into the trap, didn't you? Foaming at the mouth, he lunged at me. Skylar, I cheated. Big deal. You had to torch my life over it. 2 years of marriage, and this is what I get. All you, always you. He whipped around and charged Morgan. You betrayed me too. You're all the same. Cheap, disgusting. My assistant had already called the cops. Bishop's men pinned him down. He was still cursing nonstop. Somebody filmed the whole thing and threw it online. Sun Group was already hanging by a thread. This trending tabloid blast snapped it. Jason had trusted too easily. He'd staked every hope on this one boardroom shootout. Now that it crashed, Sun Group was finished. How could he be so sure that after divorcing me and losing my network, he'd still rule the game? Inside 5 minutes, Jason was hauled out. Bishop gave me a nod. Sun Group was toast. Next on his list, acquisition. He'd mapped that move ages ago. Even Morgan had been only another pawn. They locked Jason in Riverdale. His mind had already unraveled. But with Sun Group bankrupt, the family was drowning in debt, every asset seized. I still foot his hospital bills. Safer if he never walks out again. When Wade and Fiona were released, they stepped into a world that had turned upside down. Nowhere to go, relatives slammed doors. They rented a cramped tenement. Wade was never low maintenance. He kept hunting for Edward. I had a message delivered. That night, Wade stormed Edward's house. Edward couldn't turn away his own son, so Wade moved in. Fiona, though, was persona non grata. The moment she got out, they divorced. The outside woman finally got the title she wanted, but Wade burned cash like fuel. Within days, he'd dumped a mountain of IOUs on his father. When Edward refused to pay, Wade crashed news company scenes, or made scenes at his half-brother's school, turning it into public theater. Edward was hounded half to death. Only after Wade landed back in jail for another brawl did Edward swear he was done with him for good. As for Jason, Richard never once visited. Fiona, grudgingly, dropped by a few times, just long enough to confirm he was still breathing. Once she remarried, she stopped coming entirely. Her new husband was a widowed drunkard. He had a young son with a nasty temper who hit her. She didn't dare discipline the kid. When her husband got liquored up, he beat her. God knows what would happen if she laid a finger on his boy. Half a year slipped by uneventfully. Then Morgan, the same Morgan I hadn't seen since that boardroom shootout, showed up uninvited. No Bishop bodyguards in sight. She slammed a flash drive on my desk. President Vance, here's Bishop's dirty laundry. Please save me. I almost laughed. Why would I? This can bury him. I know you hate him. Please, Bishop's last mistress left the ward half dead. I'll be next. He's already bored with me. Save me, I beg you. I signaled security to hold her, then rang Bishop. Mr. Cheen, one of your strays is at my gate. Morgan lost it entirely. Skylar, you bitch. You want me dead. I exhaled slowly. Who said I can't stand Mr. Cheen? No permanent friends, no permanent foes. Business is business. Bishop arrived fast. His people dragged her out. Sorry for the disturbance, President's son, he said. I tilted my chin toward the drive. Clean that up, Mr. Cheen. Don't let it surface again. He nodded, giving me a look that said he knew he owed me. I understood. From here on, we'd be seeing a lot more of each other. Jason's name resurfaced 3 years later. I was married now, curled against my husband's chest. Friends were gossiping about the shifting empires of Riverdale. Someone brought up Sun Group. Then Jason. I frantically signaled them to shut up. My husband slipped a bite of food into my mouth. Listen, they're talking about your ex. I shook my head wildly. Nope, no idea who that is. Outside the private room, Rocky and I leaned against the wall, smoking. Skylar, Jason's in rough shape. You cut off his hospital tab right before your wedding. Bishop picked it up, then shipped Morgan in. Now they share a room. Daily catfights, bruises, screaming. They're never getting out. I tapped the ash. Works for me. Watching me zone out, he teased. What's on your mind, Skylar? I stubbed the cigarette, spritzed perfume. Gotta go home and apologize. My guy can't stand smoke. Spritz me too. Back inside. My husband was waiting like a puppy. That's the kind of man you give your real heart to. Thanks for listening. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this story? If you liked it, hit like and share with friends. We'd love to read your comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more tales.
See you next time.